Hello, this is Jeffrey Scott. Welcome to the Ultimate Landscape CEO podcast. Our guest today is Ted Lucia from Lucia Landscaping. Outside of Detroit, Ted, who has two minority partners as brothers, has a 30-year-old business. It's very diverse. Let me read to you their mix of services: 20% maintenance, 12% enhancements, design build 12%, lawn care 3%, irrigation and lighting 23%, snow 30%. Ted is a longtime client of mine, coaching client first and then peer group, and he has a fantastic personal and business story. You're going to learn a lot about recruiting, about acquisitions, about building an extremely strong culture and his very specific approach to that. You're going to learn about some transformative experiences he had as a youth meaning 17 years old and younger, but also at that age, and how it really impacted his management style and his approach to business, and how nothing phases him now based on what happened earlier on. He's a very nice guy. He's both very driven and competitive and results oriented, and very sympathetic and human. And you'll learn why in this podcast. Here we go. Ted, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeffrey. Appreciate being on.
Yeah. You can see I'm wearing my Saints jersey.
I love it. Not a big fan, but I love it.
I took my wife to her first pro ball game ever yesterday.
That's exciting.
You know, we'll be in season when this comes out, but it was a pregame, and the Saints pulled it off at the very end to win. We got there an hour and a half early by mistake, so we drank lots of beer, and we got the full experience in.
Awesome. Nothing like winning in the end, right? Seems like Q3 and Q4 of this year.
I'm hoping. You know, the Superdome is like 10 minutes or less Uber ride from our house. It's crazy.
That's nice.
We call an Uber. It takes us down one road, down another road, and boom, we're there. So it's kind of
convenient.
Fun. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on here. You have a great company, a great story. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. So I'm Ted Lucia, president of Lucia Landscaping. We're in Roseville, Michigan. We originally started off as a residential company, and over the last 20 plus years, we've quickly expanded to more of a commercial company. We specialize in exterior services, mainly landscape and snow removal. We also do a lot of irrigation and design build work as well. We've been able to kind of quickly grow throughout southeastern Michigan, and we're servicing clients of all sizes. And we've been awarded an award-winning company by the Michigan Green Industry, Snow and Ice Management Association, and we're just really excited about our future. We're a top 100 snow company, so that's definitely an area we've been focusing on is snow. We were awarded Metro Detroit's coolest places to work by Cranes, and we just have a one-team mentality for our company, one-team culture, and that's what keeps us spinning every day. So we're excited. We're on a long journey. We're playing the long game for sure, and we got a great team and a great group of clients that we serve.
So you have 3 companies, is that right? You've got Lucia, You've got well, go ahead, you tell us.
Yes, we have 3 operating companies. So our flagship company is Lucia Landscaping. We have a lighting and irrigation company as well. And then we have a construction company called Lakeside Construction Group, which focuses more on kitchens, bathrooms, decks, and some other exterior work.
So the Lakeside company services Lucia Landscaping?
That's correct. Yep.
And the irrigation company both services and does its own thing?
Yeah, so smaller ticket items because it's irrigation and lighting related. A lot of recurring revenue, so very service oriented. primarily irrigation revenue. But we have thousands of clients all over southeastern Michigan, and it's a booming company. There's a lot of demand, and the stronger we get at our soft skills and customer service, the more we're able to grow into our market.
So I was going to ask you, which is your favorite of the three, but that wouldn't be fair to your employees who are going to listen in. So
that's a tough question, Jeffrey. I mean, that's hard. I got my last name on one of them, right? So I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't say it was that one. The baby is definitely Lucia Landscaping because it was started many years ago. Lakeside Light Irrigation. I think we've been in business now for about 9-10 years. It's another great company, the construction group, smaller of the three, but hits a specific need in the market. A lot of our clients had a lot of complaints about communication with contractors, contractors not calling them, not picking up the phone, sending them a voicemail. And so we kind of provide a solution for that need.
You have a great, we could talk here for 3 hours, Ted. I've known you a while and you got a lot going on. I'm going to try to keep this, we may have to have you back at some point, but let's go back to the beginning because even your beginning is very interesting and it's a family business, right? And although you've got one brother who sort of who's just a silent partner and even your whole family upbringing is interesting. How far back do you want to go here?
How much time you got, Jeffrey?
I got some time.
I'll give you the quick snapshot. I've listened to a lot of stories in our industry, and some of them are quite similar, right? Starting off with the push mowers and the residential end. So basically, on the landscape side, my two older brothers, started cutting the neighbors' lawns. I got in probably between the age of 12 and 13 with them. A little kid, they really didn't want me in. I started pushing mowers around, the old Lawn Boy, for those of you guys that remember. It was a great mower. We started just residential lawn maintenance. Continue that on through high school. My brothers got out at that point, and I, kept growing it and expanding it. We had some difficulties with our family. Parents ended up getting divorced. And so myself, my two older brothers were kind of asked to step in and help support our family. And, what that resulted in is, we all had multiple jobs we had to take, not just in landscape. So we were working multiple jobs. My two older brothers were enrolled in college at that time. And we were just doing whatever it took to support the family, because we had our mother and a younger sister and a younger brother to take care of. So we just pivoted. It taught us a lot, really, looking back, and we just kept working as hard as we could. Now, I continued on to college.
So can I interrupt you?
Go ahead.
So when you said you were asked to step up, it was basically like you had no choice kind of thing, or did your mom literally ask you, or?
It was a long divorce process in which we had, there wasn't really a choice. The alternative did not look good, the alternative was, you guys are gonna have to sell your house, you're gonna have to do this, that, and we didn't have an option. We didn't see another option. And to be honest, three young men, we wanted to step up, and we didn't know what it meant. What it meant was a lot of work, a lot of struggles. But it, in the end, it brought us all even closer together. And so of all things, I'm most appreciative of that. So, I continued on through college, and, kept the landscape company. It was pretty flat through high school and college at that time. We weren't able to grow it too much. It just wasn't necessarily the focal point. We had a great client base. I'm I've always loved people. I've always been driven by people and motivated by being around people. So, as soon as I got out of college, I said, well, I could take this finance degree and have a lot of aspirations about what I'd like to do, but I'd love to see what I can do with this landscape company. And, can I grow it? And so, we just went after it. And at that time, I was really alone in the business. My brothers were, out on their own careers, and everyone kind of, took their own pathway. And so I just kept expanding it out. We started in a city called Grosse Pointe, Michigan, which is where I'm from. And then we, got more diverse from residential to commercial. We got into design build as well. We acquired some smaller companies. We acquired the irrigation company, which was initially a subcontractor of ours that I became great friends with. Those pathways, each pathway you take kind of runs you into a different pathway. And I'll give you a quick story of that, Jeffrey, if you still got time. So when we bought our irrigation company from a good friend of mine, I told him and his wife, I said, every year we're in business, I will take you guys to dinner. And on one of those dinners, I ended up meeting my future wife, who happened to be working at the restaurant that we were in. So it was a cool experience. Obviously, that ended up being a good irrigation purchase. And in the end, I ended up meeting my wife, Jessica. So pretty cool. I know you had a chance to meet her.
Does that mean you had an acquisition and a merger, or how do you describe that?
It was kind of both. You don't see that a lot. So,
well, you married up, as did she, but you definitely married up. She's great.
Thank you. So, we've been growing every year, 20% plus growth. And, it's been a fun journey. I'd say the last 5 to 6 years have probably been the most impactful, with the largest growth, with the largest infrastructure, and, a much more serious approach to business. It was very different when we were, doing this in high school and in college. But post that, having the opportunity to work alongside of some great industry leaders, some great consultants like yourself, Jeffrey, have really helped transform our company to what it is today.
So when you were, I want to still go back a little bit. You told me a story once about like your mom had was it a grocery store in Detroit? What was that?
Yeah. So as part of our, my parents' divorce, my dad had a grocery store in Detroit, and our job was myself, my 2 older brothers, was to essentially run the store with the objective of selling it to support the family. That ended up taking about 3 years, and it was for those of you that have worked in inner city areas, it was quite the culture shock. Quite the battle. Some crazy things happen there. I mean, I could go on with stories every day of my life.
Like robbery, murder.
All the above. The first day I worked there, literally the first day I got punched in the face, just wasn't even talking, and just, someone on drugs came up from behind me and just punched me in the face. Wow. That was the first time I got in a fight. And the last time, to be honest. I'm not a fighter, but like everyone else, you got to defend yourself, right?
So you're a pretty refined character and low key. How do you think that experience shaped your business approach? Because you don't reflect it. You're not this guy from the inner city. You don't carry a chip on your shoulder. How do you think it impacted you?
It was a great learning experience. Tough at the time. I mean, we really had a tough time with that culture shock. But in the end, it was a great learning experience. I was a middle child in my family. So I respect those that are older and younger than me. I respect everyone of every ethnicity. And that was the way we were raised too. And, and I respect all the people that, all of our clients that came in there, regardless of, what was going on in their personal lives. I learned that, some people are in need of a lot of help. And sometimes you gotta, kind of give a hand to some of the people. I remember some of the younger girls and boys that used to come into this store, and sometimes you just have to give them something for free just because you felt so bad. It ended up kind of shaping and providing a culture of adaptability, flexibility, and just, kind of leveled you up and also just made you more human.
Yeah.
It helps me out to this day. There's a lot of stories to talk about that me and my brother sit around a kitchen table and share and joke and laugh about, but it made us who we are for sure.
So you've seen everything. Nothing at work probably surprises you anymore.
Not at all. No, I saw it all over a 3-year period for sure.
How old were you then?
I started there at 17. I got out of school through, I think like our co-op program in high school and was able to leave early. And then we worked there 6 days a week. So for 3 years.
Dang. All right. And so just can you clarify a bit about your brothers? So did they own the business and you bought it from them, or what happened?
We all kind of, by the time we incorporated, started it together. So I took the majority of the business just because I was the one operating within it. And it was, by the time I was fully engaged in it, we were at, 60 lawns, residential lawns, and they had cleared out. So everyone still has, some equity in the business. And we still all celebrate the wins together as well.
That's awesome. So your silent partner brother, he's like your consigliere. He just gives you some advice every now and then.
One of my brothers is a M&A attorney. So he's got some good advice. On the financial side, the legal side, and obviously on potential acquisitions. So. It's nice to have people that know what they're doing that are family as well.
Yeah. And your other brother works full-time in the business.
Yeah, my youngest brother now works full-time in the business. He just moved positions and he's full-time in sales.
Okay. All right. I'm wishing him luck there.
Yeah, he's doing good.
So your brother, you have an M&A consultant for brother. That's awfully lucky. How many acquisitions have you done?
Probably between 6 and 8 at this point. All smaller. Some landscape, some irrigation. We've kind of taken them as they come. We've sought after some. Last year, I think we did 2. This year, we have not done any yet. We've kind of been waiting and trying to see what our organic growth looks like. We'll probably be back on track for acquisitions for this fall.
Yeah. So I'm sure in the first one, it was super helpful, right? First, second one. Where's your personal level now, like compared to his? Is he more now just doing a reality check to your deals that you're thinking about or putting together?
I put together the deals, the framework, and he takes a look at them and shows me potentially a different path. Some of the deals, right, are, performance based. And he's, great at that. Obviously he works on stuff that's a lot larger than our scale. But one day, we'll be, pushing for some larger acquisitions as well. So he'll be able to help out even more on that end. But it's nice to have a kind of a consultant in that regard.
Does he even understand the small scale of some of your acquisitions? I mean, they probably are like specs, some of them, compared to what he's used to doing.
Yes, he understands just based on the nature of our business, what it looks like. But we live in obviously the reality of all the items that come in between during that onboarding process. So we've got it kind of down to a science. It works out pretty well. At the end of the day, it's all about serving the clients. So as long as you're able to, take that client base and put it in your platform, and find the right onboarding techniques to do it, you end up, with a nice retention rate.
Yeah. This is not an acquisition podcast. Maybe, gives me an idea. Maybe we'll come back and get a couple people on and do that. But give for the listener, someone who's, maybe they've done one, but they're still not experienced. If someone's going to do one, give us like top 3 things they should think about.
Obviously you're trying to separate the owner, right? Is the owner coming on board? Do you not want them to come on board? That can be a real struggle. So that's definitely one large item to think about. 2 is the client base. We spent a lot of time there, obviously, looking at what that looks like. Is it recurring services? Are they one-time services? For us, we're targeting reoccurring services. So those get valued at a much higher multiplier. And then, I guess the third is the people or the team. Is there a team that's coming on board? We've looked at different companies. Sometimes the team's not coming on board. And what does that team look like? Are they willing to relocate? What's the, are you going to integrate them into your existing office or a branch location? So we kind of break it down into those factors. Of course, equipment or any assets are pretty much fair market value. So that's a lot easier to look at.
Yeah.
I'd say the client base and the people component are probably the largest areas of the business that we're focused in on.
Yeah. It sounds like every acquisition is really 3 plus the equipment. So 3 and, but putting equipment out, 3 separate kinds of acquisitions rolled into one.
Yeah, I kind of look at them in in buckets, and that's just for simplicity purposes. It makes it a little bit easier. How easy is it to kind of tuck into the business? And is the business ready for it to be tucked into?
Yeah. Have you ever done one where you're like, oh, I wish we hadn't done that?
Not really, no, but we've definitely had some struggles early on with them. Timing. Usually, we've made some offers on some companies. They didn't come to life. And then let's say 3, 6 months, maybe a year down the road, we end up coming to agreement, and the timing is not great, meaning it's at a, springtime or fall when we're about to prep into winter. Those can be difficult to do, but sometimes, you got to take them when you can get them.
Yeah, exactly. I've worked with a lot of companies on acquisitions. Early on, I had a client do a small acquisition, and within a year, he had to let go of the owner. And then he said, and then he decided just to sell the business back to the owner, that it just wasn't what he thought it was. Yeah. And so, what would your advice have been to that guy?
That's a tough one. I would say definitely work on the due diligence phase and make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Because you just want to make sure it's a good fit for your team. You also don't want to put any extra burden on your team. And you pivot one way and then you pivot the other way. I think that's tough. I've seen to the same degree, some companies will integrate a new software and then they immediately move to another software, and that's hard on your team. So just make sure you do, a good job on your due diligence to make sure it's the right move.
Yeah. Yeah. You are very methodical, so I'm sure that you avoid the bad deals. This person was he was alone. and B, he was a bit, what's the word? Yeah, impulsive, I suppose is the word.
Yeah. I don't think I'm an impulsive person. I don't have any issues with meditating on something and kind of strategically looking at like a SWOT analysis and trying to work through something to make sure it's a good decision. I mean, there's always kind of good, better, best, right? So where does it line up?
So I just bought a new race car. I'm selling my old one, but I had to buy the new one first. I wanted to get an automatic with buckets. Like I had my checklist.
Yeah.
The Porsche has this PDK, which apparently it can read your mind, and I want to try it. But the market's hot, and so I just was watching, and then one came up. It was the right one, and he hadn't even put the photos up, and I bought it. Did this on my birthday, actually, so it was like a nice little present to myself. And I just jumped. But, all the understanding and due diligence, I mean, I had the car checked out, of course, but
Yeah.
I just knew enough about the pricing and the market. I'm like, oh, that's a good deal.
I think you've thought about it good and hard. I mean, you know what you're looking for, right? So you knew when you saw it what you wanted.
But with acquisitions, it doesn't really work that way, does it?
Sometimes you got to look under the hood a little bit, right?
So I'm assuming it's always better to go slow versus go quick on an acquisition from your perspective. That's what I preach. But tell me, what's your experience?
I think it's like recruiting. You got to be consistent and you got to keep them hooked. If you really want it, you have to keep them hooked. I don't think it's that much different than recruiting from that sense. But I am consistent. We have a kind of a playbook for how we do it. And I'm in constant communication. So, the same with if I'm working with a client, I'm in constant communication with the owner of the business in terms of what are next steps, what does this look like, what's the timeline look like. It just makes it a lot easier.
You said it's a lot like recruiting, and you and your company have done a great job of recruiting. It's really what's allowed you to scale, or it's in the top 3 most important things that have allowed you to scale.
Yeah.
Why are you better at it than other companies? And I know that's sort of a loaded question, and it's not like you think you are, but what do you think you're doing that you see other companies just not facing up to or investing in?
Well, I mean, I think it all starts with culture, right? And what you believe in. I've never believed in the old school mentality. People to me are extremely important. It's actually what brought me into this business. I've kind of always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I've loved and always fed off of people and their energy. So I've always looked at every individual in a special kind of way, and I love hearing people's stories. So, you take that one step further and you get into recruiting. Well, we kind of separated HR and recruiting as a role. I think the personalities are very different of an HR, let's say, manager or generalist compared to recruiter. HR is more about compliance. Recruiting is more about sales, right? And so the recruiter is selling our company. And so you want someone, obviously, that speaks volumes about who you are, your culture, your team, your people. Like you kind of preached about being a destination company. Why do they want to come work for us? I mean, that's over the last 3 years, it's really changed the environment. And you have to make it as appealing as possible for people to come into your business. And so we push through social media channels to do that. When we're able to get people into our company, they kind of feel what that culture is like, right? From the moment they open the door. And I think that's a really powerful tool to really show who we are. It kind of goes back to, one of our core components or main core values of one team. And, people really love that. They want to operate together as a team. No one really, not too many people want to work siloed from each other. So we've kind of used that to integrate along with, technology, automations. and just, try to get as advanced as we can with recruiting, knowing that we can push to grow as fast as, we'd like, but ultimately we need the people to support it. And with the right people, they'll help support better growth.
What else? We were talking offline about recruiting versus marketing, and recruiting has a lot to do with marketing. And if someone wants to get really, really good at recruiting, where do they need to woman up or man up? Like, what do they have to Where do they have to put their money where their mouth is? What do they need to invest in to make it happen? Let me put it that way.
Well, definitely the company and the recruiter, needs some type of platform, an ATS or applicant tracking system. I would say is key, right? Just like everything else in life, we got to be organized. So that's where the tracking mechanism, kind of like a sales pipeline, or candidate. So that's a huge area. They have to be watching job boards daily, updated resumes, stuff like that, where they can be going after individuals. Obviously, recruiting means you're seeking individuals, not you're looking for inbound applicants, right? So we do both, of course, but the job of a recruiter is really to go after individuals that might be a good fit for your company. For us, we've tried to focus a lot of that on finding people that are a good culture fit, not necessarily that have the skills today to come into the company. Someone that has a good culture fit typically has a lot longer tenure with our company. Once they come into our company, we can train them and show them, essentially our way of doing business. And they typically stay a lot longer. They're a lot more appreciative. You don't have to, retrain them. Sometimes, they're just not coachable when they come in with all the technical skills.
So you hear that a lot, right? Someone's got to be a good culture fit. Now that's both intangible and tangible. One way is to have your key people interview and for them to intangibly tell you, or tangibly, why they think they're a good fit. But is there are there things that you look for in a concrete nature that says, oh, they check these 3 boxes, that makes them a culture fit?
Well, we definitely look at, do they meet our core values? That's going to be a huge one. And then, some of our applicants will put through a profile assessment, just to kind of score, everything we talked about, everything we've discussed in this interview. Does this assessment match up against that, right? Are the two linked? And most of the time it does. Sometimes it doesn't. And so that's when you kind of got to reevaluate, maybe ask some more questions. We typically do at least 3 reference checks. We read the book Who together, Jeffrey, and it's a great book. Talks all about how to properly recruit, what reference questions to ask. There's a way to carry out a conversation strategically to get the right answers.
Okay. Yep, I like all that. It is a great book. And you've been mentioning a few times about One Team, which is your cultural approach to team building. And if anybody follows you on LinkedIn, and you're definitely a good one to follow, you do a great job.
Thank you.
You, an observer would see that, oh, you've got the, Lucia Landscaping brand, but gosh, you seem to have this other brand almost, this One Team brand. It's like you got a co-branding. Tell me more about that, and tell the audience what One Team means.
Yeah, so One Team essentially is, we center our focus on our team and our culture at our company. That's completely driven by the One Team mentality. And because of that, we're able to provide an unparalleled experience for our clients and our people. And so the goal of it is, if we work together every day cohesively, we're able to build a bigger and better, brighter, and future for for essentially our team, which will create a better future for all of us. Gives us, more perks, right? Hopefully more compensation, as we grow. And so it's doing it together, right? Everyone's invested in it. It's, it's fun to be in a huddle. And this is an everyday occurrence, Jeffrey. So, we're in a huddle, we're in a meeting, whatever it is, whether it's a win or a loss, at the end of the meeting, a lot of times someone's like, one team. And what it really means is we come out of there and we need to work together, smarter than when we entered the room. And so, whether or not we're winning or losing, we're working together for a better purpose. And that better purpose essentially just serves all of us together. And it's really been inspirational. It kind of took off even more than I thought it would. But it's fun. We wear it on our muscle of our shirts. It's on the side of our hats in English and in Spanish, un equipo. And, it's currently being rolled up on all of our vehicles, trucks, trailers, everything. It's on our small equipment, all our snow equipment. So we're working on the branding of it for sure.
If you're a Star Trek fan, I just started watching the newest version. It kind of reminded me that they have the Prime Directive, which is like their number one value that they have. And so one team, to me, seems like your Prime Directive. Like you have your company values, but is it true that this is the most important value?
I think it's by far the most important value in our company. If you don't align with the value, you're probably just not a good fit for our team, right?
Yep.
And the thing is, with where we're at, people, they're not afraid to call you out on it, right? If someone's not, playing right with the team. I mean, no one wants the siloed kind of individual player on their team that, just works for themselves and only wants to benefit themselves. The best way to win is to do it as a team. I can't do it myself, no matter how hard I try, right? I mean, I'll kill myself trying to do it, but I would never be able to be as successful as I can be with the right team. And I guess, the real answer is we take a lot of pride in working together. And it's also really rewarding to see people growing together and transferring skill sets as well and being able to cross train. We do a lot of cross training in our company. And some of that cross training just happens by being around people, right? People sitting next to each other, hearing conversations. If it's customer service, hearing conversations, right? And it's very powerful.
How do the salespeople like it? Some salespeople tend to be individualists. Others are not. So how have you found how have they dealt with it?
So we try and create kind of like a friendly, competitive environment, all the way from field teams to the sales individuals. Yes, you are correct. Some salespeople kind of like their own siloed areas. But at the end of the day, we try and group up and win together. And we also try and incentivize to win together as a team. So if one person's down in sales for a month or a quarter, there's another individual maybe in a different department that's picking up the load, right? And so we're operating still together as a team. Now, it can be difficult and challenging at times when someone's down, someone's up. But, sometimes it just kind of moves like this. And at the end of the day, if the team's winning, that's really what matters.
Have you had to change your compensation strategies as you yourself have embraced one team?
To a certain degree, yes. I will say that the only con of one team can be accountability. So we recently, migrated to more of an EOS-driven company, which, creates clear accountability. Yeah. And so the only downside, I think of having kind of a one-team culture is, do people kind of just blame it on the team, or do they actually take true accountability to themselves? So we're trying to infuse both of those right now. I'd say we're probably 80% on EOS, which is helping significantly. Where you're working through a vision traction organizer. That's, for us, it's on our walls in our office, in our warehouse. It talks about, our 1, 3, 10-year plan, how we're going to get there. What are the metrics for it? It's the daily management of it. It's the weekly one-on-ones to create clear accountability. I think we've figured out a good way to work in between the one team culture, but also create true accountability based on position. So we're in the midst of it now, and it's been a nice adaptation, not easy. Because we've, when you transition like that, you create somewhat of a cultural shift, but in the end, it's what we all agreed upon and what we need to win.
Yeah. To me, it's pretty clear. I see the difference between, hey, we treat everybody like family versus we're one team where, pick a football team. Everyone's got to play their position. I can't play your position for you. And we can't win if you're not playing your position. So,
Correct.
In my view, the accountability is a lot easier as a team versus, hey, we're a family and we don't fire family and, we put up with everyone's problems and foibles no matter what. And so I work at getting companies to shift from, hey, we're one big family to we're one big team. And as you're describing, it can still feel like a family being one big team, but everyone has to play their position. And that sounds like what you're going through right now is lining that out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, being in Detroit, we got a lot of great sports teams, or we did historically. Anytime you can illustrate based on a team, I mean, we use team illustrations all the time here, but we have to perform and operate like that, right? And that includes stacking the bench, right? Sometimes we got, a farm club going here, right? And we're moving them over, and they're playing in the majors, right? We make a lot of analogies. So, in the snow industry, we use a lot of illustrations about football and how that playbook works. And how does that affect how we operate for a snow event, for example? But, I like the team strategy. I like relating it somehow to sports. We have an all company meeting once a month, and usually, I have a 10, 15 minute topic in there, and I bring some type of sports illustration in there. Just makes it a lot more relatable to people. Anytime people can kind of hear the story, it just makes them feel part of it, and they start to listen a little bit more. We can talk all day about, operating as a team, but when we, use a great hockey player, or the, Detroit Red Wings to talk about it and talk about, Steve Yzerman or someone, that we all love around here, it just kind of brings the point home.
You probably have some clients that are from the sports world. It'd be great to get an athlete in to come to one of your meetings and talk about teamwork.
We do. Maybe that'll be in one of our future meetings. We'll get them a one-team jersey.
Don't you think?
I love it.
So you've been a member of our peer group for a few years now. What's been the best part for you?
I think it's number one, I'm, extremely competitive, as you know. So it's great to be able to benchmark yourselves or ourselves against other companies. Obviously, coming in, you're new, you don't know the people. We've kind of grown the group over the years, and we've created some great friendships in the group. There's just been some great people. If you got a problem, there's someone in the group that solved the problem already or already been through it. And it works both ways, right? If we have an issue, we might bounce against a peer group. If they have an issue, they might bounce it, back to me. I've been able to help solve, some issues. I kind of IDS it with some of the people in the group. It's very rewarding to get to, a spot in your life where you're able to help other people out. That's been neat. So it works both ways, but, very KPI driven. Obviously we want to win, and it's nice to see how other people are playing. Same thing in the sports analogy, right? What KPIs are you hitting? How can we get there? What are you doing different? What's your batting average? I mean, what's your average dollar per hour? Whatever it is, we want to know, and we want to know how we can get better. And that's essentially what one team is all about, getting better. So it works in the peer group.
What's one change you've made, decision since joining, that a change you made back at work that's had a big impact?
I would say a big impact is something you said that I don't know that I took it quite seriously until I started to really think through it. We have a lot of different services that we provide for our clients, right? As part of one team, our branding, we're one team, one solution. And so we offer a lot of services. It's hard to be great at every single thing you do, right? Compared to a specialist in certain kind of verticals. You had said, why focus on areas of your business that you're not great at? And put all your attention there. Why not focus on some of the areas that you're doing incredible at and make them even better? And I've really thought through that a lot. I made sense when you said it, but I've really thought through that a lot more as time has gone on, and we have put a lot more focus there. And the same in people, right? So you can kind of pivot from an area of the business where it's low performing, and you're really targeting there. But you can also work on the individuals that are high performing and make them even better, which really adds to your growth and your bottom line. So it works from a lot of different aspects. But I guess to answer your question, working more on our strengths than our weaknesses has helped a lot.
I love it. Yeah, I love that. You are very diverse. You're in residential and commercial and snow and irrigation, kitchens, I heard. And so, you have a whole design build part of your business. And so where do you see your own company going in the future? And, you may not want to give away every thought or secret, but how are you going to tackle this as you move forward?
Good question. So yes, coming out of college, I was taught in finance to be very diverse, right? And also work on the recurring model. Moving forward, we're heavily focused on the commercial market and expanding that portfolio and any recurring lines of business. So really maintenance and snow. That seems to be a great space for us. Tied with that, we have a massive irrigation company, so we're able to really serve our clients without, outsourcing to another company. We try and do as much, obviously, as we can in-house to be part of that one team, one solution. But that's, it's a great market for us. It's a great opportunity. Of course, for many businesses, they, can go in a lot of different directions. This is just kind of where we've chosen to go after all the years of doing what we've done.
Okay. So you're going to grow specific portions of your business, and then over time, the whole picture of your business will change because of that.
Sure. Yeah. Ultimately, it's going to shift a little bit, but it'll help expand our geography of what we're able to cover. And we've been, work over the last 2 to 3 years, kind of working through that model. Again, I'm not necessarily an impulsive person, so we're working through it. We want to be successful. We don't want to be opening branches, and you don't want to open your branch and then fail, right? So you need to be able to prove your model. And that's also one more area where these peer groups can come in very helpful, right? Finding out from others what's made them successful and then being able to troubleshoot it. So we think we have a great model for growth. We've been very successful, and I feel like I'm just getting started. So it's exciting.
Yeah, well, you are. You are just getting started in many parts of your life, huh? So
yeah.
I talk to a lot of people. I mean, obviously, I coach a lot of companies, yourself included. And you have an irrigation company, but I talk to a lot of companies that are subbing it out, that they should think strategically about irrigation. And it's okay to keep subbing it out, right? Not everybody needs to go in the same direction. Although recently that has become, hey, are you subbing out pools? You should think about pools. And so kind of two questions here. Irrigation wise, if anybody's looking to grow, would you tell them to seriously look at irrigation? You've been through that in and out, and I know you love irrigation. Do you think it's the right, this is sort of a general question, but do you think it's the right fit for any ambitious landscape company that's doing a lot of maintenance, that they should think about irrigation as part of their portfolio?
I think it's a good bolt-on service, but I do think you have to know exactly what you're doing. Otherwise, you could easily lose a client, right? So if you're going to try and get into it and don't know how to do it, you might want to use a subcontractor, at least until you learn how to do it. Because, someone starts getting a burnt out lawn and you're off the entire job, right? So yeah. I think it's a good bolt-on service for all the landscape companies out there that are able to do it, just like lawn care is in terms of, lawn fertilization or tree and shrub care.
Now, recently, the bolt-on service of discussion, the trend is really about pool companies with COVID and all that, although those of us who've been in it our whole life, we know that it is cyclical. But right now, it's certainly gotten people's attention. And I don't hear you talking about it, but also you're talking about going more in the commercial growth route. Have you guys discussed it internally, or is it just something that's not on your radar?
It's probably not something we're looking to target anytime soon. I'm sure you can make great money when it's there, but sometimes it's not there, right, with the economy. So we like the recurring revenue model a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I've seen strong demand for pools over the last few years. We've certainly had a lot of clients, come to us and ask us. It's just not our niche. So it's just something we haven't really gone after.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good. You have to say no as an entrepreneur.
Yep.
You early on, you say yes to everything, and then you have to start figuring out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You figure out the hard way.
Exactly. So, listen, I appreciate your time here. Give us sort of as one of the couple questions I like to ask at the end here is, give us a prediction you have for the industry. And you have 3 companies, so you pick any one that you want and give us a prediction.
So you want a forecast for the rest of the year?
No, I meant just prediction industry. Like, what do you see happening in the future? But sure, if you want to just talk about the end of the year, let's hear that too.
There's a lot of chatter out there about Q3, Q4, 2023, and then 2024. I see the market on the one-time services. So that could include design, build, pools, larger construction projects. I see it softening. I think it is kind of playing hot and cold currently, depending on the market you're in. I think the markets that are more like touristy are probably still hot, and the markets that are non-touristy are starting to soften up and play a little cold. So that's kind of the current state. I think we'll probably soften up a little bit here. I do think that people still got a lot of money to spend out there. I think there's a lot of people on vacation in the summer and they're coming back and then they're going to spend money in the fall. I see a strong finish to 2023. probably not as strong as the prior 2 years in terms of demand. On the commercial end, we've still seen a pretty good, strong presence, which is good on the maintenance and enhancements end. We try and be as competitive as possible with obviously a value add service. And that's really helped us, gain market share. So I'd say a decent to strong end of the year. 2024, I think we'll know how it's going to play out based on the next 3 months. But there's definitely some question marks, which is why we're really just focused in on recurring business for now. I like stability. I think you like stability as well, Jeffrey. I don't want to be the stock that just keeps swinging up and down, right? So I'd rather kind of level it out and feel really secure about our future and make sure our team feels really secure about our future as well. And it's a lot easier to have those type of conversations with them than the alternative.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Ted, really appreciate your time, sharing parts of your playbook. Any final words of wisdom to the listener?
My only words of wisdom would be one team. So we're all in this fight together. It's been a heck of a ride. It's been an amazing journey. Jeffrey, has been an awesome person to work with. Really helped out our company, and I'm looking forward to an amazing future. I'm excited. I'm so excited about it. We got so many great places to go. We're working a lot smarter these days. We used to just work really hard, and we're going to keep persevering no matter what happens. I think COVID taught us one great thing, which is to be quick to adapt. And so no matter what happens in, the rest of this year, 2024, we're going to be quick to adapt. We're going to do what it takes to continue growing. And so, we're going to keep winning together. And so that's not just, my company. It's all the other companies out there. It's, sharing information. It's sharing KPIs. It's being, friendly, competitive. And, at the end of the day, I love seeing everyone around at these conferences and shaking their hand or slapping a five or one team, whatever it is. And we'll just continue winning together, but we can all raise the bar and level up together.
Love it. Thanks a lot, Ted.
You got it, Jeffrey. Thank you. Appreciate having me on.